Hey everyone, it's Will, GamerDad, with another video for you. So in today's video, we're finally going to go over Prai as a 5-star, and we'll do a little bit of gameplay, and I'll let you know what I think about him. But the most important question of all is he hot or not?
Yummy!
Alright then. Anyways, Prai is our newest 4-star that has some quests that can enable him to become a 5-star. So if you haven't checked that out, make sure you check out that 5-star quest on my live stream. Anyways, his Valor Chant is type resistance to all party members plus 25% for one turn. Keep in mind that he actually does have a third quest that you can access in Merlot Ward. Also, note that he enhances the team based on the number of fire attacks done during the turn. So almost like the end of turn effect, similar to things like Radius, for example, AS Foreign, and so on and so forth. Not too bad at all for a free 5-star, so to speak. Anyways, in terms of his moves, he does retain his 4-star healing moves. So he has some mild int boost 15% for all turns, restore all statuses, which is not bad if you're up against things like poison, pain, and so on and so forth, especially given the new super bosses, those artificial spirits. Prayer is a not bad, also medium heal and a small regen. Not as useful as some of the top tier healers in the world, however, still not bad. And finally, he has Mind Stamp, blunt attack, and a little bit of int down. Okay, but what we're most focused on are his new 2 5-star moves. So Indulgence, I believe, is the one that everyone's going to be using a lot of. Preemptive move, which puts guard on user until end of turn, and power plus 30 on all main and reserve party members for one turn, and at the start of the next turn, inflicts stun on user. So what that means is he's going to tank every hit, every status effect, and everything coming to your team at once for that one turn, as preemptive too, so you'll survive it for sure. He will also survive and be left with 1 HP. Not only that, he does boost power as well, so pretty good. I'll show you that in action a little bit later on in this video. Now his Noble Flames is basically his spam move. Fire type blunt attack on a single enemy only XL, and type resistance down 25% for 3 turns, but it does also restore all party members plus 1500 in the same move as attack. If you watch the video a little later on, I would consider him not a DPS unit. His damage potential isn't that high, at least from my limited gameplay of him. However, his use as a support, and especially as a tank, is unparalleled. So let's bring up his 5-star board. You can see Noble Flames as well as Indulgence are here as a 5-star. Alright, the rest of the board. Keep in mind, he is having the West personality as well, obviously holding a hammer, so you can share some Grasta that way. And finally, in terms of his Grasta, you can equip with a number of different ways. However, anything that enhances, for example, MP, HP, Endurance, anything of that could be useful as well. So, let's take him out for a spin. If you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. And I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. So first off, being that he's a fire blunt user, he's going to be advantageous against enemies who are wind based because they are naturally weak to fire. However, enemies who are resistant to those elements or resistant to blunt, such as this mob, are going to take a little bit longer to take down. With the type resistance down 25% naturally, as well as the fact that he can heal 1500 HP each hit, he's basically going to be lasting for a fair bit of time. However, keep in mind that his MP does run out pretty quickly, seeing that his move does cost 57 MP. Now against horrors that are weak to blunt or fire, he's going to be able to take it down after a little bit of time. Note that he does take a lot of damage, but he can heal back a vast majority of it. However, even with some enhanced Grasta, he really doesn't do a ton of damage that I can see. Again, maybe putting more type Grasta on him will be a little bit more beneficial. I'll just activate a single AF to see if we can wear down the boss here. And like I said, he can heal himself while during the fight, but in extended periods of time, he's just not as impressive damage-wise as some of the other newer gacha units that you can get. But again, his main role is not for that. It's mainly as a support and a healer, and also a tank as well. And let's see him in action against some of the tougher bosses in the game, like the optional boss Unseen right here. Now, for those unfamiliar with it, if you establish Elemental Zone, the Unseen will counter with an attack that basically does 99999. Also, it starts with a random element that will counter any move of that element. So in this case, we started with countering to fire. So when we attack with fire, it attacks you back. He tanked it with the Indulgence, and note that he can tank multiple times. He also tanked that shade type move that essentially is an AoE to everybody. So he can tank like, literally millions of damage for that one turn, unlimited numbers of hits. However, he is stunned this turn, and so he is basically sitting duck for those enemies willing to target him. Now note that we did cast Tree of Life in our AF, and it restored his stun and removed it, so he's actually now able to participate in AF. If you look at his numbers, he's doing a little bit, but based on the other people doing damage, he's just like lacking extremely. But he still contributes to a Fire Zone AF. He'll also be useful, for example, in a Blunt Zone, either through Yifa or eventually through someone like AS Mayufa, which will be coming in the future. Note that this is actually my son, aka Jeff Morrison's account. I don't have the AS Miyu or AS Yuan upgraded at this point, and so I wanted to demonstrate a little bit more firepower through a fire type team rather than my own weaker fire team. Okay, so he had enough MP to cast Indulgence again, and note that because we had Fire Zone active, it automatically does counter to fire, and he tanked another number of hits. And so now we have the advantage, and we're going to attack the enemy and end the fight right here and now. Alright, so let's see if we can do enough damage. Again, not as familiar with this team as per my own, since I don't usually use these units, so you have to hopefully bear any mistakes I have made. And you can clearly see I didn't optimize Graston nearly enough to end it with AS Miyu on the single turn afterwards. But that being said, we did win the fight, and the main thing is here is really to just demonstrate the use of AS of 5-star Prai. As I said, he can really tank a lot of hits that you normally wouldn't be able to, and this will allow you to really help with some delaying strategies, or if you have some strong DPS but you can't get past a certain phase in, for example, a super boss or end level boss fight, he will really help. Note that Radius was just carrying and sharing Grasta with AS Miyu. Okay, so in our final example, we're going to beat up on our old good friend level 170 Ukwaji. So very similar to the last example, we're going to use both, in this case, Bertrand to tank and also Prai to tank. And the reason why we're doing that is, remember, he is disabled for one turn and he can't actually do it for 2 turns back to back to back. So we do need a single tank to take the first physical hit of Kwaji, and luckily Bertrand was able to tank it for us. And then on turn 2, remember that level 170 Ukwaji does have a wind super AoE that usually wipes everyone for over 10,000 HP points, and possibly even more if you don't shield up. So this is turn 2, and note that we did get hit 4 times for 22,000, but it didn't really matter because we able to tank it. And note that because we know that Ukwaji is faster, and if you are familiar with the bosses and the fights, then you'll know who's faster and you can time your zone activation accordingly. So in this case, we're activating Magic Zone. I know that Prai does not participate in Magic Zone. However, he still apply that type resist to 25 down and do some modest hits while the rest of the team mop the floor with Ukwaji. Again, in the similar example, we did remove the status of stun. We have 2 units that can do that, obviously either AS Rosetta with the Tree of Life, or we can use Cure Leaf as well. And that was all we needed to do. As usual, let's just go over the loadout here. This was when he wasn't even 170. So remember that the move is still priority, and even at lower levels, as long as you unlock the 5-star move, you'll be able to use them right away. And so if the fights are relatively short, hey, even at level 60, you can probably use that and get through some of the tougher content in the game. All right. So in conclusion, Prai will definitely have a niche use in many super boss fights. However, as a go-to for day-to-day fighting and farming, I'm not sure I would leave him on my main team. But you can't ignore Mr. Muscles, and I want to know what you think about his hotness. Let me know. Do you think he's yummy? Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.